One of the other ways I worked my way into the Rotondo family kitchen is to start introducing things that I enjoyed that they didn't necessarily do. And what that was a restaurant that Al and I used to go to called Between the Toes, and there was another one called the Grapevine. They served this bread, and we would order it all the time. And one day I dared to introduce, could we do garlic bread? And it was a big hit. So what you see me doing here is I am peeling some garlic for some garlic bread. A lot of people have a hard time with peeling garlic. I don't find it to be too difficult at all. 1 or 2 shakes of a lamb tail, the skin comes off, and you're ready to rock and roll. For garlic bread, the amount of garlic you use really just depends on the size of the bread you're using. If you're doing a big loaf, obviously you're going to use a little bit more garlic. If you're doing a small loaf, you're going to use less. Simple as that. There are some people who use the powder. It's not that powder isn't a good thing. Powder is fine. But fresh is better. And which would you rather eat? So if you have the garlic, you're going to mince the garlic, which basically just means that you're going to chop it up into a very fine, tiny dice. As you can tell that just a home cook here. We haven't gone to any of those special schools. It's just a matter of cutting it up as tiny as you can get it. So, a rough chop. First in slices, then on its side for 2 more slices, and then down through the side. Simple as that. Trying to keep your fingers bent at all times so that you don't take your finger with it. Just that thought makes you not want the garlic bread. So you chop up your garlic and you get that off to the side. Pretty delicious looking, I might say myself. And the next thing you're going to need is obviously a bread. I'm going to do this 2 ways. I'm going to do the original way that we started with, and then the way we souped it up, from the restaurant that Al and I loved. You're going to cut the bread straight down the center and open it up like a book. Just like that. Take a little bit of the inside out. You don't want it to be too doughy in there, but you don't want it to be naked either. I personally like to eat it. You can dump it if you don't want to. That wasn't too smart. I just stuck food in my mouth while I'm trying to do a cooking show. The next step, olive oil. We buy olive oil in a big can. And the best way to measure it out for the garlic bread is to put it in a shot glass. Everybody's got a shot glass hanging around. And you're going to just drizzle it down the middle of each of the sides. Moisten it up. And then you're going to take the freshly chopped garlic and run it down the middle of the bread. Smearing it as much as you can. Get it coverage all over the place. Oh, it's so relaxing when you do this. It's really kind of hypnotizing when you're doing garlic. Anyway, you have your garlic down the middle. You want to put some salt and pepper. Some pepper. And some grated cheese. Now, I mentioned earlier that you want to grate the cheese yourself, if at all possible. And that's what I'm about to do. Move you to the side, pull you to the front. Yes? Okay, and we grate. You just start at the end and go straight across. You see how it looks? Comes out nice and shredded. And depending on which one of these shredders you're using, they all have different size holes. So this one is turning out to be a little bit less than I need. I'll do a little more. Okay. Now, If we take the garlic bread, oh, the secret ingredient. Hold on, I gotta get butter, my secret ingredient. Yeah, my secret ingredient. How could I forget? I am Irish descent, and we Irish girls like our butter. We really do. And so this is what kicked it up and made it so fascinating to my Sicilian in-laws, is they had never seen this being done before. That in addition to just using the olive oil, I was doing it with butter. And putting a nice bit of butter, maybe about 2 tablespoons, one on each side of the bread, in addition to that lovely, lovely olive oil. Now, in the case of the olive oil that you use here, obviously you would want to use the best possible olive oil, which is extra virgin olive oil. If you're frying, it doesn't actually have to be extra virgin. You can use regular olive oil, but for our purposes, this is extra virgin. Now, you could stop right here without using the cheese. Wrap this in tin foil, and you bake it in the oven. You bake it in a 350 oven for about 20 minutes. Keep an eye out. Always, whenever you're putting anything in the oven, set the timer. So set it for 10 minutes and test. See, is it ready? But the best way to tell if it's ready is your nose will tell you. You'll start to smell the garlic cooking. And once you start to smell the garlic cooking, you take it out. Very key thing that nobody ever told me when I first started cooking is things continue to cook even after you take them out of the oven. So if it tells you it wants 15 minutes in the oven, take it out at the end of 10 minutes and set it on the counter. In the next 5 minutes, it will continue to cook. So that's what's happening here. This by itself, regular garlic bread. Now, we're going to soup it up and turn it into that particular bread that we called, which was stuffed bread. And the next thing is to add some white wine. And we would pour the white wine right down the middle and call this drunken bread. And then last, we add the cheese. Now, we would also add some nice mozz. If I had mozzarella, this would be the way to do it. Now that gets wrapped in foil. You shut the book. You shut the book. You wrap the bread, both sides. Goes on a cookie tray and then into a 350 oven.